Bože pravde ti što spase od propasti do sad nas. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light my two countries, my friends, and today is Memorial Day. Memorial Day here in the United States of America is a day of remembrance. It's supposed to be a day all of us who are born, and even those who just recently immigrated here, can look back and thank all of those veterans, those military members who perished and who fought for this piece of soil that we call home, okay? And they protected us and allowed us to live the life that we're currently living, okay? We call it Memorial Day here in the United States. It is May 31st is when we celebrate it. Serbia, my other country, I live six months out of the year here and 6 months out of the year here in Serbia. Serbia, I don't really know what the equivalent of Memorial Day is in Serbia, but I do know that they have on October 21st, I think it is. It's the Remembrance Day for the victims of World War II. Kako se kaže na srpskom? I don't even remember. But something somewhat similar. And I'm sure they have something more related to Memorial Day here in the USA than that, but that's the first thing that popped into my head. But anyway, when talking about Memorial Day and veterans and people who have fought for our nation, I don't like to just bring up, check a moment. I'm going to shut my air fryer off because it was really loud. But when I talk about holidays here in the United States, I like to bring up my other country because I spend 6 months out of the year here and 6 months out of the year here. I'm a dual citizen, a proud dual citizen. I hold both passports, and I'm equally, dually as patriotic. Does that make sense? I love both my countries. But when we talk about veterans, this is strictly an opinionated thing, but it seems like, and I know you Serbians are, some of you are going to maybe disagree with me, but it seems like here in the USA, the veterans are held to a higher standard than in Serbia. And I don't mean any disrespect to your country, to your warriors, to your people. It just seems like here in the USA, you never badmouth a military member, a soldier, something like that. But in Serbia, it seems like there's a lot of people that don't bring it up. You don't see that people respecting them as much, I think. I mean, still here, we have many, I don't know why I just laughed while I did, that was just inappropriate, but we have many service members who are homeless, who are living on the streets, who have nothing, who are scarred mentally, physically, whatever, and they're living on the streets, okay? But in general wise, you never badmouth, you never insult, you never question the patriotism of a former military member, okay? Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, whatever. In Serbia, it seems like a lot of people don't really talk about it, that way. So America has a lot of verbal patriotism, if that makes sense to you. But anyway, regardless, I equally love both my countries. When we talk about those folks who died for this little piece of soil that we were born on, I happen to be born on the soil that they call the United States of America today, here in 2021. Our country first got its start, if you will, in 1776. We had the Revolutionary War. We kicked the evil British out of our country. And that's when our country was more or less founded, okay? And they say since 1776, the United States of America has lost 640,000 American troops. Okay, it was like 646,000 American troops have died fighting for America. That's from the Revolutionary War to today. Okay, and that was, I got those numbers, 646,000 from military.com when I looked it up, because I had absolutely no clue. Okay, and of those 646,000, some are from my family. Prior to late 70s, early 80s, I don't know the exact day or the exact year, but late 70s, early 80s is when they stopped the draft. The draft was where the government, once you turn 18, the government sends you a letter and you are enrolled in the military. They had that. But as of late 70s, early 80s, they stopped it and went to an all volunteer. But prior to that, my father, he was in the Army. He was drafted into the Army. My uncles and all my uncles on my mom's side, there was like 4 uncles. They were in the Navy. Most of them were in the Navy, and there was a couple in the Army. My grandfather was in the Army. My grandmother's brothers and sisters were all in the Army, Navy, you name it. Civil War, I have family from the Civil War. I'm related to Abraham Lincoln, believe it or don't, on my mother's side of the family. I mean, of course, way, way back, naturally. But lots of my family members on both sides, the Cathers and the Roans, which my mother, her last name was Roan, R-O-A-N. But they died. My dad is big into genealogy, so he has our family traced back to prior to coming to the United States. And many of them had died in the Civil War, etc. But the one I remember most, my family member who died most recently, was in World War II, the storming of Normandy, the Normandy beach. My dad's uncle, or my grandfather's brother, my great uncle, we say in English, his name was Otis Cather. He was 18 or 19 years of age, small town guy from the middle of Illinois. He was drafted by the U.S. government. He was sent to basic training. He was sent over to France. One of the first boats, there was a ton of them going into Normandy, and he was killed. He didn't want to join it, I'm sure. I'm sure he had ambitions, he had dreams, he had things he wanted to do, besides go over to the other side of the world and die. But that's what these troops do. They do what they're told, so we can live and do what we want when we want. So I can travel to Serbia, so I can become a Serbian citizen, so I can sit here, wake up at 4 in the morning and not have to worry about getting killed, being invaded. That's what these people do, He didn't want to. He did what he was told. Just like the hundreds of thousands of others who died for America. And when we talk about Serbia, well over 646,000 have died fighting for their country. I'm sure. I don't know the numbers. I don't even want to start on assuming the numbers. But when you look at Serbia, 1389, the Battle of Kosovo, an ungodly amount of Serbs died, trying to get rid of the Ottoman Turks. All through till the 1800s, they were trying to drive the Turks out, uprising after uprising. You had the Bulgarians, the Balkan Wars. You had World War I, where over 1 million some Serbians were killed. Not talking military, but a large percentage of them were military people. 1 million people, over 60% of the male population in Serbia. Think of that. Hear that once again. Over 60% of the male population in present-day Serbia was annihilated, was gone. 60%. 25% of their total population wiped out in World War I alone. So you had Battle of Kosovo, you had all the Balkan Wars, fights against the Bulgarians, you had World War I, World War II. They were equally as devastated. The Germans came in, tore down Belgrade. Then you had NATO, of course. Well, before that, you had the Croatian War, the Bosnian War, Kosovo, Matoya, NATO bombing and killing over 2,000 innocent civilians. I don't know how many troops died in that. But you had lots and lots of people who gave their everything, their blood, their soul, their life. So you, Serbs, and my family, they gave theirs so I, an American and a Serbian, could live like we are today. We don't have to wake up in the middle of the night worrying about a bomb falling on our house. Well, I mean, here in the United States, I don't. You Serbs did because of this country. But we are where we are today because of these folks, okay? And like the U.S. government, like the Serbian government, or hate the Serbian government, hate the American government, hate their interventions around the world, or love their interventions, you can't blame the troops, okay? The troops do their job. Just like you and I, when we go to work, the boss says, hey, do this. You can say no, but you're terminated, you're fired, or you're disciplined. In the Army, it's more serious. There's more repercussions than that, for disobeying an order, So I'm not going to get into the details of that, but yes, we have nasty, horrible crimes that were committed by American troops around the world. Afghanistan, Vietnam, Iraq, troops that just were caught on camera even, just shooting innocent civilians and things like that, Sickos, nut jobs did that. You can't blame every American for things like that. There's a lot of Americans, a lot of my family members who were in the military that were good, decent people doing what our government told them to do. That's their job. The same with my people here. You can like the Serbian government, you can like their interventions, you can, well, they didn't really have that intervention, they were trying to protect their homeland, but you can support that or not. You can hate what they did, what the government told the troops to do, but you can't really hate the troops for doing it. Some of them, yes, probably did, some of them did do some bad things. In every war around the world, you have crazy people, you have dumbasses who are going to go it alone and do their own thing, and just they're sickos. They join maybe to kill people, who knows, But the vast majority of them are there to keep our way of life the way it is, So anyway, hate the government, don't hate the troops. They're doing what they're supposed to do. So anyway, today is Memorial Day, so take a moment to look back in your family tree and to think of all of those. Take a minute to remember them. To remember what they gave up. Like my great uncle. What if he wouldn't have gone to Normandy and died? What if he would have had 10 kids? One of them could have been president. One of them could have been went to the moon. You don't know. But they gave the ultimate sacrifice. They gave their life. So we can live here, That's powerful, So both my countries had many people. All of you watching, I know somebody in your family. I don't know him personally. I know somebody in your family has died because of war around the world. So love war, hate war, but respect these people who fought so we can hold this flag here today, friends. And that's it for me. Do widzenia.